Thank you everyone for being here. And at this session, we will have a link for attendance coming up shortly. So keep an eye out for that in the meeting chat. This is the Latinx Institute, and this is a meeting format. And I am Stephanie Thorson Olison, she, her, and I am a volunteer. And so at this point, I'll go ahead and turn it over for the Latinx Institute.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. Thank you for being here and for all the help. Thank you, everybody, for being with us. This is such an important space for us to be with you and to share. I hope everybody is enjoying the symposium. Yes? Hands up, thumbs up. Okay. I hope everybody's still full with energy and full with just curiosity and things to learn and continuing information. So we wanted to take some space to share some of the things that we are doing with you and also get some feedback. So as you know, the Latinx Mental Health and Social Justice Institute is an initiative that is a passion of mine. I think all of you know me by now, but I am Dr. Cynthia Santos Dietz, the co-founder and co-director of the Institute. And this event is just a dream come true for me. And the Institute itself it is. So we are really trying to become the epicenter of everything Latinx, and especially in terms of building collaboration and building community. So this symposium is an example of everything that we want to accomplish with the Institute in terms of really dive into collaboration, networking, research, mentorship, global engagement, service, and everything that you can think of. So we invite you to check out our website and see more about who we are and how we started all this project and what we stand for. And as well as all the areas that we are trying to accomplish in terms of where do we want to become and be well known. But specifically today, we want to talk about the research piece of all of those things that we want to do. We really think, we truly believe that there is a lot out there to be done in terms of research. We want to be part of those who are doing things, and we want to add to the foundation and the baseline of information that we have. So at this point, the Institute is engaging in two different projects. One that is really talking about training and training in multicultural counseling and kind of looking at how is that training impacting the way that we are helping or serving the community out there, as clinicians, as counselors. And the other one that we are doing is we are trying to really identify what are competencies that we could utilize as a north in terms of how do we actually work with the community? How do we serve the community? How do we train those who are going to be doing that with the community? So today we're going to talk about that specifically. What are the competencies that are out there in the literature, and what are things that we would like to see happen? And we want our voices to be represented in terms of, we don't want somebody else to come and tell us this is the competencies that you need to obtain, right? We want that to come out from the community and for all of those who are actually doing the work and being part of that community as well. So I tend to talk a lot and I can talk about this all day, but we want to give a space for us to tell you what we found and for you to tell us what you think. So I'm going to give space to Dr. Maya Itura to kind of helping us out with that. If you can share your screen, well, introduce yourself, say hi, and share your screen, that would be wonderful.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Maya Itura. I obviously have forgotten to change my name as I just got my doctorate last year. So hi, yes, I am so excited to be here. Similar to Cynthia, Dr. Cynthia, I am also a talker. So instead of taking up too much time, I'm just going to get going. Just to let you know, this study that we did was brought to you by a few researchers, myself, Liz, Biff, Odin, I believe, and Naya. I'm just blanking on their names, but I wanted to make sure I let them get some proper credit due where credit is due. I think that's how you say it. So yeah, with that said, I'm just going to make sure I have. Okay. Okay. So yes, it was Elizabeth Thurin Odin and Naya de la Costa Silva Vale. Sorry, I'm a little nervous, but I'm also very excited. So let's get to it. Okay, so first things first, the how, where, and when. So the three of us conducted a lit review, about 30 peer-reviewed articles with the last within the last 10 years. So this was using a broad search term such as Latinx, Hispanic, counselor, education, higher ed, and what Naya found, what we found was that looking through these large databases, we first started at the Antioch University databases, and then there was some on the WorldCat, and a lot of the counseling journals that we kept on seeing are listed on the slide. And so eventually, though, we were seeing a kind of repeated articles. And so then we went a little further and looked at Google Scholar. And with Google Scholar, there was more that was brought up when we looked at of these new articles, but some of them were not relevant to the subject of counseling, but there was some good information that we gleaned from. And then we went a little bit broader and looked at related fields such as marriage and family therapy, social work, and psychiatry. I am a marriage and family therapist personally. And when we went a little broader, it was really helpful to look at the interdisciplinary information that was across our fields. However, at times it kind of felt a little frustrating because there wasn't as much there as we were hoping. So essentially, what we found out is these are the two kind of areas that we saw general competencies for counselor educators, as well as just for working with the Latinx populations as a clinician. And excuse me, with this said, with my own preliminary research that I've done for my dissertation last year, a lot of the findings were very similar. And I did mine with like 10 years for 17 journals that marriage and family therapists often use. And within that, what I found was that there was about 8,800 articles, but out of that, only 343 articles actually pertain to Latinx populations, meaning that Latinx, Hispanic, and related other terms were in the article components, the title, abstract, and or the keywords. However, when I did a thematic analysis, because I did a mixed method, half of those articles for the thematic analysis only mentioned those terms because of the demographics, not necessarily giving much more information in addition to working with Latinx populations. So with that said, there's very little information out there. That's what I'm trying to say, is that less than 5% of the articles over those 10 years in 17 journals. So similarly, though, we found very similar competencies, summaries of the competencies that from both what we found for clinical counselor educators as well as clinicians, there was a lot of overlap. So the cultural awareness was a big one. Language awareness of immigration status. That's like the liminality of some family members might be really different between their other family members who maybe are have citizenship here. Being really aware of intersectionality and how the power dynamics of oppression can really compound this group of this population in multiple ways than just race or ethnicity, as well as like the family dynamics. So all these things really became crucial and very kind of elucidated how important these were from are just kind of preliminary findings here that these are really important ones to really focus on. Let me see. And so I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Maria.
Yeah, can you hear me okay? I apologize, everyone. I'm having technical issues. So it's cutting in and out. I'll do my best. And if something happens, somebody please step in. So next steps, thank you so much for talking about all the work that's come up to this point. It takes a village, so I appreciate that. And we have submitted an IRB. It's been approved. Next, we'll start doing focus groups and having conversations with folks around these themes. The next one coming up would be at the what we call the ACES conference in October. It's only about 2 weeks away in Denver, Colorado. And then after that, we'll continue to have focus groups and surveys and conversations for fall and winter and have the data collected in the next couple of months with the hopes to write everything up in the spring, submit to ACES and manuscripts. And ACES is our Association for Counseling, Education, and Supervision, so that this is really some competencies we would like to share with them in our profession as a total community. There's a lot of gifts in the voices that are shared, and we want to share those gifts with everyone and bring this conversation to light. And advocacy and research are connected in this. And so that's how we really approach this.
I would like to add that we really want to have more information and more to add in terms of what are we doing in training future counselors, and how can also we can also support those who are clinicians out there in the workplace and actually doing the work. Sorry, Maria. Maria, do you want me to continue or do you want to keep going?
I can continue. Yeah,
right.
Thank you.
You let me know.
So the purpose of the study, and we've touched on this, but is really to expand on previous research and developing these multicultural competencies for counselors working with Latinx, Latina clients and communities. We're wanting to do a qualitative research to really explore what are the most effective counseling competencies for counselors to know when working with Latinx clients and communities, and then get richer understanding of the development of awareness, skills, and competence from your perspectives as clinicians, counselors, mental health professionals, in regards to influence of factors such as cultural attunement, humility, as well as direct training that was related to the work regarding specifically people in our community. And we're looking for Latinx, Latina mental health counselors, counselor educators, supervisors, doc students, other professionals, people from the power of communities within the community, right? So we're wanting to get voices from the community to lend to this work. Next slide. I'm not going to go through all these, but here's just an example of some of the interview questions. We wanted to just show you all what we're looking at regarding the conversations we'll be having and providing some opportunities for all these to be unpacked. So here's some information about the study itself. If you're interested and you feel like you would like to be part of this, please, there are emails are on the slide for Cynthia and I, and you could see where it would take about at least an hour. We would need your consent, of course, and you're invited to be part of focus groups or individual interviews as we move forward in this study. And this was definitely informing everyone that you're more than welcome to join us. And references, but we keep going on. All right. Yeah. So speaking of, I just wanted to add there. But speaking of, so Cynthia, did you want to talk about the themes?
Sure. Let's see, should we? All right, there you go. So what we want to do today is really have the opportunity to listen to your thoughts in terms of the study in general. I know we were going through a little bit quickly, but we just wanted to give you like an overview and we know that you have a lot of experience and expertise yourself, so we would love to hear your opinions. And hopefully we will have some time in the end to actually have an open conversation. But at this point, we would really love to ask you some questions and just kind of gather anonymously, wow, I can't say that word, sorry. Information of what your thoughts are, and just kind of have a first go in terms of what are the thoughts that you come up with within these themes, these major themes that we have been finding. So a question there, we have two questions for you. One is, how would you rank these competencies when counseling Latinx communities and our clients? So these are the themes that we found, and we would love to see how do you rank it in terms of importance. So we mentioned cultural awareness, so it's kind of the understanding of that we have about the values and the culture, and how aware we are of that diversity within that group. We talk about language awareness as well. So obviously that diversity between language is still within that, the linguistical context of that, and that diversity within that as well. We talk about immigration, that is so important for the community as well, and have so many implications of who we are, and obviously implications of how to whom is working or trying to serve our community as well. And we also talk about intersectionality, and just kind of again thinking, I think, and you can see that big theme going throughout in terms of the diversity, the within group diversity within our community. So intersectionality in terms of our identities and how do they intersect in terms of our, that intersect and inform our identity as part of this community. And finally, the awareness of family dynamics. So what is the importance of extended family within our culture? How does that look like? And what does that mean? And what are the implications for working with that community as well, especially if you are an outsider, if you're not part of the community, how does that look like? And again, if you're part of the community and you are doing this work, please keep doing that, and please bring more people in. We so need more bilingual and bicultural counselors out there. So also, how do we bring that into our practice as we move forward? So again, we want to know, how would you rank these competencies? But the second question is about the same competencies, is just thinking about your own experience. Is there anything that you would add, delete, or change when we think about big competencies or big themes in terms of competencies that we should have when we are preparing? Like what are the ones that we are that we should aim to have as we train to be counselors, but also that we need to have when we are out there in the community working with the Latinx, Latina community as well. So I hope that that was clear enough. Let us know if you have any questions about it, but we do want to ask these two questions and give you the opportunity to put your answers in it. So we're gonna do polls for you so that you have the opportunity to tell us what you think, if you agree to do that, of course. And again, this is going to be anonymous. Your name is not going to be in the answers, but we just want to have like this overview of your thoughts. And since you're here, we really, really would like to hear your voice. And after that, we can have a not an open conversation for whatever thoughts you have that you want to share with us as well in real time. So thank you so much for being with us and for helping us with this.
Okay, looks like the poll, we're gonna have to, if we could switch, I'm gonna have to do something here because the poll is not appearing.
Oh no.
So just give me a couple of minutes. Can we move on to another subject, and I'll look at the poll for a bit? Thanks.
Sure. So why don't we open the conversation then? So you have heard from us in terms of what we think the competencies are and the process that we have gotten in terms of getting to those competencies and themes, and also about our research. So you have the information about what are we trying and planning to do. And we are really hoping that you're going to be part of that as well, and that you're going to put your voice in there. But any open thoughts that you have at this point in terms of what you heard? We would love to hear you, and you can unmute and talk to us. We would love to hear you.
There are also some comments in the chat.
Hi, this is Dr. Maya Tora. I just want to chime in. I saw in the chat, it says awareness of cultural differences between the group. I'm imagining, and feel free to unmute yourself, Dr. Pepe, if you are alluding to the fact that like Latinx populations, Latinx, Hispanic, all that is not a homogeneous culture, or it's very dynamic. I believe that's what you're alluding to. And feel free to unmute yourself and contribute to that, because yes, that is 100%.
Yes, that's
Right.
correct.
Great.
There's a lot of commonalities, language and religion, but within the group, the term Hispanic was a term that was made up by the U.S. Census. So even within this group, it's a very Americanized thing that I think it's very important to understand the diversity.
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that in here, Dr. Pepe. That was something I noticed with my own time doing my dissertation. I didn't want to limit myself to just one term, so I had to expand it to multiple terms, and including a lot of spaces and places in South and Central America. And one of the things sometimes I would notice with my teachers or my chair people would be like, don't say languages, because there was this assumption that people in these Latinx communities only spoke Spanish, where I was just like, there's so many indigenous languages and cultures and variations. And that is one thing that over time that I noticed was that when there was articles that talked about Hispanic, Latinx populations, it was like, honor the fact that we are dynamic, that we are not homogeneous. So we need more research out there about our communities. Thank you. Roberto, I noticed with your question, Roberto, interrupt me if I'm not getting this. When clarifying about family dynamics is just referred to extended family. No, I think that was just kind of like one thing. Yes, extended families, and also the dynamics within family members. Sometimes like, I think there's some overlap with family dynamics also in regards to immigration status, because sometimes you would have a family member who was like a citizen born in this country, but then you would have like maybe a parent or a great grandparent who was not, or they were like had refugee status, but then still there's this like in between space that was not very defined. So like, what kind of things happen when that occurs within a family dynamic? There can be acculturation, there could be all these other factors too. Yeah.
And I do want to kind of clarify that this is kind of the first go to what we found. So this is very coming from the literature review. This is what we found. These are the major themes and what the big categories are of what the literature is saying. And again, the literature from that past 10 years and the ones that are available for us that relate to the community. So we want to be very clear that it's kind of the first step of having these presented. And the intention is actually continue to talk about this. So these questions, including the ranking question, is kind of our way of start to think about how the community see this. So I'm so glad that you mentioned that, and so glad that you said these are all important. So that's what we want to know. We want to know how people feel. What do you agree with them? Do you disagree with them? Are there anything that sounds different for you, that you feel that is different, that you want us to pay more attention to? So the intention will be that from these themes, we actually will end it up, after doing all our focus groups and all the interviews, we're going to end it up with the actual clear supported list and that have the voices of as many possible people that we can interview and that we can talk to, in terms of having a clear list of this is the minimum the minimum things that we need to have as competence as competencies, as people that really really want to and do the best effort we can to work. I know nothing is perfect, but we do want to say to people from the community, but especially people that are not from the community, you should know this. You know, you should learn this. You should practice this when you are trying to work with us and with our community. So we are trying to be safeguards of how can we interact, how can we advocate, how can we tell counseling training programs, you should be including these in the program. Maya and I discuss all the time, like, did you even talk about this in your programs? You know, master level program and PhD programs, like, who is talking about this? Who is actually helping us to actually get professionals in the field that know what they are doing, right? Or are have interest, or are, again, having the basic competencies that we need for us to be able to find the support that we need out there as clients, right? As people that are looking for help or that need help, if I may say it more accurately. So I hope that answered a little bit of, of the questions that you posed there. So that's pretty much what we're trying to do here, just trying to talk about this and see what your comments are. What would you want to see happen? And again, the ultimate goal is to actually have a list of competencies that include your voices. They include voices of people with a lot of years in the field that are kind of recognized as experts in the field, and to actually put it out there, especially thinking about our professional organizations that have a lot to say about how these go into the training programs, into the people out there, into the licensure boards, into you know, all those spaces where we can have more power and more voice. You have any other questions or thoughts? Oh, and Maya, they are asking if you can put up the slide again.
Oh, yes. Yes, I can.
Thank you. Maybe that will be helpful for people to have more to say. And again, moving forward, you will receive invitations about this and more information about it with more polished ways of you to communicate these, either with interviews, group focus groups, or surveys, to think about this more in depth. But right now, we want to see, what are your first impressions? What do you think about this project and this idea of having these as part of our baseline for our institute, right? So that having some information that we can use, and we can put our voice in to actually talk about this more and really, really engage in advocacy. So here are our competencies, and well, more like big themes about competencies, so that are going to be kind of the root of everything else that we do from here.
Now, we really invite you to unmute yourself if you want to dialogue with us. Like we said, this is very preliminary. Very much would love to hear your thoughts and opinions. We really value it. Like we said, it's very preliminary. We're still a work in progress, like all of us. I'm going to drop in the chat the questions that just so y'all have them here that we were wondering.
I'll pop on and say, can folks hear me? I'm like a little confused with my screen right now.
I can hear you.
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah, since this is all preliminary and like definitely asking how it is like being ranked lends to the question of like what we value or like what's valued as most important. And I don't know, I feel like they're all so important. And like when deciding like what the bare minimum is, like I just like want it to be so much. Like I want the bar to be so high. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't, because like they're all so incredibly important and it's so dynamic. Yeah, that I just like want, I don't know if that makes sense. Like in regards to like ranking these, like I think they're all 100% necessary, and that because I think especially when like thinking about different communities and intersectionalities, if it's not like the mainstream community or whatnot, then it's just like we're like, okay, like let's make sure this is important and this gets across, but like it all needs to in order to like actually be super helpful.
Definitely, I think it's so important. We believe that too, of course, and I think it's there is so much. You should be in our conversations. We talk about all of these, and we want to keep adding things, and we want people to actually be well prepared. We will love people to have all what they need to actually do this work in the best of the abilities, and we also recognize that realistically, there are a lot of nuances. There is a lot that come from practice. There is a lot that can get lost in terms of training, in terms of who is interpreting what we said, in terms of if we say that this is what, for example, counselor educators should teach. So who is the counselor educator that is teaching it? And how is that being understood, or who is going to bring that to pass? And obviously, if we present a document that has hundreds of competencies that we'd love to put in there, and I'm exaggerating, of course, but the more that we have, the less that people will hear, and the less that people can actually get into and understand what it is and what is behind what we're saying. Obviously, also recognizing that there are a few things that are applicable to many different cultures, but there are a few things that are specific to ours. So we want to make very clear, this is super valuable. This is something that we need for the Latinx community, to Latinx, Latin community to be really well served, and to actually for people to stop saying that we just don't want to go and look for help, right? What are the obstacles out there and challenges that are there that are stopping the population to actually go and get help to begin with? And the training and the competencies of the professionals might be a big part of that. And obviously I don't have the research to back me up right now at the moment at the top of my head, but I'm just saying this is what we are finding, and this is what we are trying to contribute to in general. So we are at the end, when we said very minimal, we said that with obviously with a lot of cautious, and as you said, understanding there is a lot more out there, but we at least want to have that baseline to people to understand that there is more that they have to do, and what is the very minimal to make right connections. Does that make sense? Did I speak to what you were saying?
No, you absolutely did. And I think that's definitely just part of the nuances of education and training for education. And I do apologize, I jumped on a tiny bit late, but we will get emailed or dropped in the links to like further read about these or the studies that come based off of this for the conversations.
Yes, we're trying to do a poll, and there's we'll forward the slides to you all at a later time. Yeah, we want to be able to reach out to everybody, and if anyone wants to participate in our study, that'd be great.
All right,
And,
Ingrid, how are we doing?
We're actually building it. So I edited it this morning, and for some reason it's not it's not appearing, and I don't have a poll goal. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
So Harold and I are in the midst of building it from scratch,
Fantastic.
but
Thank you.
there's lots of
Thank-
questions. We have to build it from scratch. So it's on its way. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And just to say, I hope that everyone feels comfortable to share any and whatever feedback you have. I noticed in the chat, people are giving us various types of feedback, and we really appreciate it. Like we said, we need you to let us know how we can improve this. It is just the very beginning, and we're going to do a lot more, hopefully, and with our focus groups. And yeah, so please keep on dropping in the chat your opinions, your ideas. What do you think we're missing? What do you think we need to maybe talk a little bit more about? Or maybe we totally overshot something, and yeah, please. This is why we want you here. Just to bring piggyback off of something what Dr. Cynthia was talking about. I in my research with my dissertation before, there is like these culturally adapted programs, which can be great, but they're not necessarily made with Latinx populations in mind, right? Or those other very specific populations throughout the US, right? That are Latinx. And so they're helpful, and we need more research out there and programs of interventions for families, Latinx. Like, that's what we need. That's what a lot of my research was telling me.
And not to mention like instruments or things to evaluate, assessments. Again, Maya and I talk a lot about that. That's one of her passions. And there is not much out there, or whatever is out there is really dated. So, you know, and again, also we've seen a lot of voices out there that are not ours. So we really want to try to work on that as well. All right, we have a pool. So we would love for you to take a second, a few minutes there, to help us with this. And as we said, this is not the final word of this. You will be hearing from us, but you have 2 questions there that if you take a few minutes, please go ahead and give us your thoughts on that as well. Thank you so much. Can you all see the pool? Yes, Stephanie? Okay, good. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. As the Institute and as this team that is doing research, it's really, really valuable. You're helping us out a lot.
I think there's a question about how ranking works with the poll.
That's a question for Ingrid. I don't know how are they building it.
Well, we built it just now. So
I know. I think they're
and
asking
I apologize.
column 1 and
even
2.
this morning, I was in the poll that I built into the
weird.
session, and then it disappeared. So I don't know how, but I would just encourage everybody to do their best. Please, if that's okay, we have these questions and we're, sort of building on the fly. So
yeah, no worries. I think somebody's just asking what does column 1 and 2 mean? And that I don't know because I can't see.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, we tried to, Harold, I don't know if you want to speak to that. I would imagine if we could just kind of have it like imagine, I don't know how to answer it. We're just going to have to get creative.
Yeah, I did the best I could, having never done that particular type of question before, and I apologize. But
so why don't we say that, if we were to imagine a spectrum, column 1 being least and column 2 being most, that we would pick the one to which we are more aligned. How does that sound?
that's helpful.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, everybody. It's a group decision. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as you all can see, we're really trying to unpack these competencies and talk to others in the profession about it. As we shared earlier, we'll be having focus groups and interviews to discuss these further. If you're at ACES, please contact us. Please come to the research symposium, which is happening on Friday morning, I think it's October 13th. And it will be in the agenda for ACES. If you're there, we'll love to have you and talk more about this. October 13th, we'll have a conversation there as well. And also our emails were on the slides and on this, I believe, somewhere. If not, we can put in the chat box about hearing more from you that are working in the communities with Latinx clients. Want to hear your voice. And I will, there we go. Research Institute from 9 to 10:30 Mountain Time, Capitol Ballroom, room 4. And we hope that you can join us so we can continue this conversation. Thank you, everyone, for being in community with us today. And I want to thank my presenters for doing such a wonderful job, and knowing there was tech issues on my end. So thank you all for so much for sharing your voices, your gifts. And I'm glad we were able to have this conversation and even explore that what's great is that there's so much advocacy and research happening in our professions from those in the community. And I just want to say how powerful this process and experience is. And it's such an honor to be part of that journey, to be part of that collective voice for our own community. There's so much power in that. I cannot stress that enough. So thank you, everyone, for your voices today and your gifts.
Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez. And as you know, I think everybody knows by now, Dr. Gonzalez and I are both the co-founders and co-directors of this institute, and we will love to continue to build collaborations with you all. We invite you to reach out if you need us for anything, or if you have anything to share. Like telling everybody, especially the presenters, if you have something that you want to highlight, publications, projects, new information, new advocacy successes out there, or advocacy activities, actions that you want support with, we would love to be there for you as well. So please do reach out. We are here for you. This should be our home. I want everybody to feel at home in this institute and to know that we are here for you as well. And it's students and professionals, communities, organizations, institutions. If you want to create a link or a more specific network, please reach out. We would love to do that. And again, we will continue this annual symposium, and that's our idea as well. Again, I'm looking at the time, and I know our next presentation is a golden presentation. So I hope everybody can go and meet our keynote speaker and be part of that important presentation as well. If you have any other questions, we are here, but we thank you very much for your participation, for just being here, for listening, and for give us your feedback.